Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
We begin tonight with a 10-page restriction laying out why Chemung County should no longer be under orange zone restrictions. Big Fox News COVID-19 specialist Amanda Decker takes a look at what's included in that petition and where it's headed.
Chemung County officials have had enough of being in the orange zone. That's why they have sent a petition to the state Supreme Court to get out of it. The restrictions in the orange zone took effect October 23rd locally as a so-called microcluster began to appear in our area. But under the guidelines laid out by Governor Andrew Cuomo, county officials say we no longer fall into that category and it is killing small businesses. Business owners across our area have been forced to keep their doors closed for weeks and schools forced to close as well and transition to virtual learning. In the petition, County Executive Chris Moss lays out the numbers, pointing to the county's 7-day rolling average of 4.5%, hospital bed capacity of 45%, and available ICU beds at 38%. But on December 11th, Governor Cuomo actually laid out some new restrictions for positive cases and hospitalizations, and Chemung County no longer meets the orange zone requirements. According to those guidelines, an area will be placed in the orange zone if its positivity rate hits a 7-day average of 4% over 10 days, and hospital capacity gets as high as 85%. As Moss points out, Chemung County hospitals are not at that capacity level. The businesses affected were in Elmira Heights, and in Horseheads, and there's still no response from the governor's office on that petition. Reporting for Big Fox News, I'm COVID-19 specialist Amanda Decker.
Holiday travel appears to be slowing down, at least for now. On Thursday, New Year's Eve, the number of people who passed through airport security checkpoints dropped below 1 million for the first time since Christmas Day. The Transportation Security Administration reported screening only 874,000 passengers. Most days over the last 2 weeks, the TSA has screened more than 1 million travelers, and that has raised public health concerns about the coronavirus spreading. Coronavirus cases in the U.S. now top 20 million. That is according to new numbers released by Johns Hopkins University. The total number of COVID-19 cases is at least 20,007,149. At least 346,000 people have died in the U.S. from the virus. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says nearly 2.8 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine have been administered. Imagine children returning to school with no need for masks, sports fans packing into stadiums, and movie lovers visiting cinemas. Well, Dr. Anthony Fauci says those normal activities could be a possibility again by the fall. But the immediate future is not as bright, as COVID-19 cases and deaths do hit record highs. Athena Jones reports.
As 2020 draws to a close, fresh signs of a deepening crisis that could make January a particularly challenging month. America hitting a new high for COVID-19 deaths for the second day in a row. More than 3,700 people losing their lives to the virus. As the CDC projects, as many as 80,000 more people will die in the next 3 weeks. Hard-hit Los Angeles County surpassing 10,000 COVID deaths since the start of the pandemic.
We are at our capacity. And while we're seeing the caseload begin to level off, we know that 2 or 3 weeks of more hospitalizations and more deaths that follow last week and the week before caseload, we are still going to have our toughest and darkest days.
Hospitalizations nationwide also setting a record again on Wednesday. 12 states reaching new highs for hospitalizations, including Georgia, where officials have set up a field hospital in an Atlanta convention center.
We're at a critical point.
And with California becoming the second state to identify a case of the more contagious coronavirus variant first discovered in the United Kingdom, doctors say it raises the stakes for getting the vaccines out faster, even as experts acknowledge distribution so far is falling short. Just 2.8 million doses administered out of some 12.4 million distributed, a tiny fraction of the 20 million dose goal government officials set.
We would have liked to have seen it run smoothly and have 20 million doses into people today by the end of the 2020, which was the projection. Obviously, it didn't happen, and that's disappointing.
Several states facing problems getting shots into arms.
Maybe my expectations were too high, that the vaccine would have been rolled out faster and in a much more efficient manner than it has been.
If we had more doses, we'd get those into arms as well. The demand at this point far exceeds the supply.
Dr. Anthony Fauci saying that giving more people a first dose of vaccine to provide some protection is under consideration.
You can make an argument, and some people are, about stretching out the doses by giving a single dose across the board and hoping you're going to get the second dose in time to give to individuals.
2020 may be over, but the futile efforts to overturn the 2020 election results continue. Those attempts by President Trump and his allies have failed dozens of times in courts, including at the Supreme Court, as well as in the Electoral College. But now, some GOP lawmakers are trying to block Congress's certification of the vote. Reed Binion has more.
It's a lot of BS, and I won't fill in the blank.
Democratic Senator Bob Casey of Pennsylvania reacting to Republican efforts to disrupt Congress's certification next week of Joe Biden's presidential victory.
It's the big lie, the lie that the president's been perpetuating for months now, at least for weeks now.
In a recent development, 2 Republican members of the House of Representatives tell CNN they expect at least 140 GOP House members to vote against counting the electoral votes. That's on top of Republican Senator Josh Hawley saying Wednesday he will object to the certification. Like other attempts to overturn the election results, this one is all but doomed to fail. But it's still drawing the ire of Democrats and some on the other side of the aisle. That includes Republicans currently in office, like Senator Ben Sasse of Nebraska, and former GOP lawmakers, like former Senator William Cohen.
I think it's shameful. And those who are going to express their conscience by voting to support this effort to overturn the elections are shameless.
This all comes as another challenge to the certification plays out in the courts. Congressman Louis Gohmert suing Vice President Mike Pence in an attempt to force Pence to ignore electoral votes of key states during the certification. Pence's lawyers have asked a federal judge to reject the suit. I'm Reed Binion reporting.
The Senate voted to override President Trump's veto of the National Defense Authorization Act. It took 2/3 of the chamber's members to make that happen. The House has already voted to override the veto. Now, Trump vetoed the bill because it did not include a repeal of Section 230, which shields internet companies from being liable for what is posted on their websites. But the NDAA also sets the defense policy and gives pay raises for American soldiers. As coronavirus rages on in the state of New York, fans will be allowed to attend an NFL playoff game for the first time all season. Our Zach Siminar has more on these developments.
Nearly 7,000 fans will be allowed inside Bills Stadium in Orchard Park, New York for the Buffalo Bills home playoff game next weekend. Earlier this week, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo making the announcement that 6,700 fans could attend the game that will require a number of COVID-19 protocols.
Every fan will be tested before the game, and then post-game, there'll be contact tracing, so we'll find out exactly what happened, was there any spread at the game, etc.
The move by Cuomo, however, doesn't come without pushback, as thousands of New York restaurant owners have slammed the governor for allowing fans to attend the game, while many businesses and indoor dining remain shuttered. The governor wants to use this opportunity as a pilot testing program in an effort to reopen the economy.
It's not about a football game as much as it is, how do you reopen the economy?
While some aren't happy about the governor's decision, there are certainly some who see the decision to allow fans into the stadium as a move in the right direction.
I think if we get them in the stands this year for fans, this is going to be an amazing game. It'll give them the best home field advantage.
I would be going nuts because this is a very exciting time.
For WYDC TV, I'm Zach Siminar.
A New Hampshire police officer was at the right place at the right time and likely saved 2 lives. Adam Sullivan has the story.
You gonna buy a lottery ticket?
I might.
Canaan, New Hampshire police officer Matt Bunton is feeling lucky because in all likelihood, he saved the lives of 2 local residents thanks to a chance encounter. Bunton was checking the locks at the Canaan Street Beach House Wednesday morning when something in the lake caught his eye several hundred yards from shore.
I didn't know that they were females at the time, but I saw 2 people skating. I looked down, and when I looked back up, they were no longer there.
After scanning the ice, he spotted the women again, who were now submerged in the freezing water.
I spotted them first and then heard them yelling.
Bunton immediately called for rescue crews as he shouted back to the 2 stranded skaters.
I called out to them to try and put their arms on the ice, hopefully that they would freeze there and not be, slip back into the water.
Within minutes, additional first responders arrived on scene. They suited up and began making their way out across the ice.
We go out with 2 people in suits, ropes, backup crews behind them. We had total of 4 people in the suits.
The chief says the women likely mistook open water for black ice. They were pulled ashore in sleds and transported to the hospital. They are expected to recover.
Had the officer not come up here to check, it probably would have been a double tragedy.
It's estimated the women, who are in their 50s and 60s, were in the water for a total of 27 minutes before they were rescued.
Would have been sheer luck that somebody would have heard them screaming, if they were even able to, call. Because once you get into the water, that water will take your breath away instantly.
A scary and life-threatening ordeal that astoundingly did not end in tragedy, thanks to this officer's routine patrol.
I'm happy that they're out. I can't imagine what that would have been like for them to go through that, but I'm quite pleased with the outcome.
Listen up, parents. Target is recalling some clothes because they're possible choking hazards. The Cloud Island infant rompers and Cat and Jack infant toddler one-piece rash guard swimsuits have faulty snaps. Those snaps can break or come off, which poses a risk of choking. Although no choking incidents have been reported, Target has already removed the products from its stores and website. Both items come in various sizes and were sold until October. If you have one, return it to Target for a refund. Meteorologist Monica McNeil has your forecast for the first weekend of 2021 right after this.
Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
This weather forecast is brought to you by William Mattar. Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm meteorologist Monica McNeil and happy 2021. We're still under a winter weather advisory for Steuben and Chemung County until the overnight hours. There's still the threat of some additional freezing rain. We did pick up some today and we did have some accumulation, and we could see more development of some ice early on. Then all of the ice will just turn over to plain old rain. The reason why, our temperatures are going to start to slowly warm up from the south, so we'll see temperatures not below freezing. Right around Wellsboro, temperature of about 34 degrees, our low at about 29. Future radar showing you at 1 a.m. in the morning, we're looking for rain around the area. See some spotty purple, and that's the freezing rain, but for the most part, we'll just see rain through the first part of your Saturday morning. So we'll pick up a few showers early on Saturday, but by the afternoon and Saturday night, most of the showers are gone. The next storm system for us comes in on Sunday. So once system exits, we'll see some slightly milder temperatures for your Saturday. That's why we're looking for temperatures in the 40s. It is going to warm up a bit. So about 43 for us here in Elmira. Over toward Mansfield, 43. Southwest winds warming things up at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Next storm system will arrive and approach our area late Saturday night going into Sunday, folks. So take a look at this storm system. This one's going to reduce the visibility, could be some slippery travel, because this is going to be more of a snow event across our area. Large area of low pressure tracking up from the south and east. That system will provide us again with a shot of getting some snow in the forecast for Sunday. So just when we think we're getting a bit of a break, here it comes again. So on Saturday, we'll ease up. We'll see a few showers for the first part of the day, but other than that, we'll see a temperature of about 43 degrees. We'll be warming up. Now, as we head towards Sunday, we'll see snow at times, and we could see 1 to 2 inches of snowfall with this storm system. 36 is going to be the high. A bit of a wintry mix on Monday, as that storm will linger into your day on Monday. So it's looking kind of gray and cloudy for the first part or the beginning of 2021. Overnight temperatures will be in the low 30s. All right, stay with us, folks. We'll have more news for you coming up.
It's a new year, and if you're leaving bad habits behind and your goal is to be healthier, we have the top 4 fitness trends for 2021. Mandy Gaither has more in today's Health Minute.
2021 is finally here, and even during a pandemic, you can resolve to get healthy. Are you still working from home? Try the lunchtime workout trend.
You can get sweaty and stinky in the comfort of your own home and not even have to shower before you go
back to the office.
Health and fitness expert Stephanie Mansour says also make sure to enjoy the fresh air.
Outdoors is a great place for us to work out, especially with many of us still not going to the gym or not wanting to wear a mask while you're exercising. So going for a walk or doing things like HIIT training outside, adding in some lunges or squats to your walks around the block, those are going to be very popular in the new year.
If you want to train with someone in a safe way, go online, whether it's Zoom workouts or go virtual.
All you need is a smartphone and an app. You can get a personal trainer directly on your phone, giving you workouts via video. You can subscribe to other services that have streaming workouts, but doing online training is definitely a trend for 2021.
Finally, focus on your mental health.
Maybe your goals in the past had been building muscle or weight loss. Well, how about having an improved emotional state or feeling less stressed, more energized? Feeling like you're working out for other things than just your physical body is a huge trend.
And sometimes a new year can be motivation to try something new. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Consumers spent more time on their mobile devices during the year of the pandemic, leading to record spending on mobile apps and games. More than $100 billion was spent on mobile apps in a single year for the first time ever, according to Sensor Tower Store Intelligence. The gross revenue is up 10% over this time last year. It's estimated that consumers will have downloaded 130 billion apps in 2020 across Apple's App Store and Google Play. On Christmas, consumers around the globe spent more than $407 million. Outside of mobile games, TikTok was the top app in terms of consumer spending, generating $4.7 million on the holiday. 2020 was a massive year for video gaming. One gaming company ruled the top 5 for the year. Rick Damigella has more.
Welcome to your very own deserted island.
According to Amazon's video game sales charts, games for the Nintendo Switch were among its biggest sellers in 2020, with the digital download version of Life Simulator Animal Crossing New Horizons placing 5th. In 4th place was the Mario Greatest Hits Collection Super Mario 3D All-Stars, the first of a trio of Mario-centric games in the top 5. Not all games in Amazon's top 5 came out in 2020, though. Released back in 2017, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe raced off to a 3rd place finish. Landing in 2nd place was Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, the latest iteration of the popular brawler series originally released in 2018.
Do you hear that? Your new life is calling.
No, you aren't experiencing deja vu. Amazon says its biggest selling video game of 2020 was the physical version of Animal Crossing New Horizons. It seems many people tried to escape real life by building a virtual one. Leveling up in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
Rescuers in California have been trying for months to help a deer with a tangled mess on its head. Jeremy Roth has more on Take a Look at This.
So long, 2020, you were a dumpster fire. But hey, there were some happy endings in the wretched year, like in California, where wildlife experts who had been tracking a deer entangled in a hammock for months finally wrapped up the operation, unwrapped it, as it were. Over the summer, the deer had been spotted with the tangled mess stuck in its antlers, but proved elusive as rescuers tried unsuccessfully to capture it for months. Finally, one morning, a stakeout turned lucky.
We showed up in the dark and we basically ambushed the deer. We were in full camouflage.
A bullseye with a tranquilizer dart allowed rescuers to safely remove the hammock and the antlers, which they say will grow back in the spring. Locals who witnessed the operation say it was a happy ending to a long-standing sticky situation.
We got back up and ran through the hills. It was great. It was just great.
2020 may have been for the birds, but in one New York town, its Christmas trees are for the goats. After the village of Champlain had to close its brush collection area, the mayor says there wasn't a set plan for holiday tree collection.
It was going to be a major problem because I had no idea where we were going to put them.
Fear not, it's hungry goats to the rescue. Turns out the festive furs make fine farm feed for these furry friends, and farms like Barefoot Acres were happy to take up the cause. Dozens of trees have been delivered, and these bottomless boweled billies have gone to town, chowing down. The mayor says as long as they're hungry, she's all for this seasonal circle of life.
I think it's always important, if you can, to recycle and reuse and repurpose.
For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
2020 may have been for the birds, but in one New York town, at least the Christmas trees are for the goats. The village of Champlain didn't know what to do with the old Christmas trees it picked up this year after it closed its brush collection area. Luckily, a nearby farm had a solution. It turns out Christmas trees are fine dining for goats. The farm's owner has been feeding her goats Christmas trees for some time, but she used to have to find them herself. This year, the town is bringing them right to her doorstep, and that's making for some happy goats.
The goats absolutely love the trees. Typically, I drive around sometimes and pick them up. People will message us. It's been a very weird year.
So far, dozens of trees have been donated, but those hungry goats are always ready for more. And now for the latest headlines in the world of entertainment, here's Douglas Hyde with the Hollywood Minute.
Is it Luke? No. What? Is this Luke? Star Wars fans, delirious over Luke Skywalker's surprise appearance in the Mandalorian season finale, are sharing their real-time reactions to it on YouTube. And Mark Hamill is loving every minute of it. The Star Wars actor tweeted that the fans' response was overwhelming and something he'll cherish forever.
But first, I want to talk about 2020. Nothing bad, don't worry. Your faces were all of a sudden 2020.
The Ellen DeGeneres Show was hoping to return to production next week, but that's on hold for now. According to Variety, next week's episodes have been canceled in response to growing concerns about the surge of COVID cases in Los Angeles County. The syndicated talk show's been running reruns since December 10th after DeGeneres announced she tested positive for the virus.
It's just a beautiful, beautiful story.
Ray Liotta is tying the knot. The Goodfellas star announced his engagement to girlfriend JC Natolo on Instagram, writing, "Christmas wishes do come true. I asked the love of my life to marry me, and thank God she said yes." In Hollywood, I'm Douglas Hyde.
Goodbye 2020, hello 2021. New York City rang in this new year similar to how they rang in the last year, but there was one major difference. The ball dropped in Times Square right before midnight Friday, but the crowd of millions that usually watch the festivities were not there. Crowds were prohibited from flocking to Times Square for the first time since 1904. Millions instead tuned into the virtual show from home. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a good night and have a happy and safe new year.